want to talk quickly about the reason why you have these different types of devices that protect you in your home that are different than just a circuit breaker. So if you look at a circuit breaker in your house, that the smallest rating is going to be like 15 amps. 15 amps is not going to protect you. It is going to prevent fires from things that we call a dead short or a short to ground, or potentially a very serious electrical short within a motor or a component. This is going to help prevent fire. But while a circuit breaker does protect you from some of the worst cases, it doesn't deal with two of the other cases that can be dangerous in the home. One is arcs and sparks, and the other are lower current shorts that occur when you are getting electrocuted or shocked. So if you were to grab a hot conductor, you were to grab a wire that actually had electricity potential there at that wire, and you were to ground yourself out or create a path, you could be getting shocked and it would never trip that circuit breaker. That's why in wet and damp areas of your home, the electrical code requires you to have ground fault circuit interruption, GFCI protection. And that's that little red dot on a lot of those outlets that you see in bathrooms and kitchens. In many cases, those outlets are connected to other outlets. So you may have an outlet that doesn't say GFCI on it at all that may still be shut off when it trips on the one with the little red button on it or the little test and trip buttons on them. If you find a GFCI that is tripped, you can reset it. If it trips again immediately, you may want to look at what is connected. So, for example, if it's one in the kitchen, often you're going to have one GFCI that connects to all the other outlets in the kitchen. And say if there's a blender or a toaster or something that's plugged in that maybe has a short circuit in it, a dangerous condition, it's going to continue to trip. So the first best practice is to unplug everything and see if it resets with everything unplugged. If that's the case, it may be one of the things that's plugged in that's causing it to trip. And you may want to just replace or have that particular item repaired. If it's tripping no matter what, it's just tripping all the time, then that's when you want to have an electrician come look at it. And ultimately, if you get that component replaced or that appliance, whatever it is, and it's still tripping, you're still going to want to have an electrician look at it. You do not want to keep just resetting them. But sometimes you do just reset them because maybe something did get wet and there was a temporary condition that's now resolved itself. And that's where knowing where to find those GFCIs and reset them is really handy. Generally speaking, it's going to be one of those little resettable areas around your kitchen or bathroom or garage, something like that. Or sometimes you're going to find that you have GFCIs actually inside your breaker panel. So the actual breaker itself has GFCI protection on it. The same thing is true with AFCI. It's much more common with AFCI that's going to be part of the circuit breaker. And there are some circuit breakers that are both. AFCI, arc fault circuit interrupter, and GFCI, ground fault circuit interrupter. Arc fault is a little different. It's designed to prevent arcs and sparks. Same thing can be true where you get nuisance trips. Maybe you have a vacuum cleaner or something that you plugged in that caused a temporary condition that caused it to trip. You can reset it once. But if you have to keep resetting it, do the same thing. Unplug everything from all of the outlets in that area and see if it then resets. If it does, then it's probably that thing you had plugged in causing the problem, and it's very likely unsafe. You're going to want to replace that appliance or lamp or whatever it was that you had plugged in. If it continues to trip even with everything unplugged, then that's when we would suggest getting an electrician involved. Or you can always be safe and get an electrician involved right away. You just run the risk of them coming and unplugging a lamp and saying the lamp is the issue. Keep in mind that with arc fault and ground fault, you're going to usually have one device that protects many outlets. So it's not going to be just one, and often you're going to have to look at that breaker panel schedule to tell you which area it serves, and sometimes those may not even be correct. And in those cases, getting an electrician out to remark the panel correctly and find the source of the problem may often be worth it. But if you're wanting to save a nuisance service call, looking for all of those individual GFCI outlets and looking in your breaker panel for either a tripped AFCI, GFCI, or circuit breaker can be helpful. Keep in mind, do not continue resetting. Reset once, potentially go and unplug some things to see if that could be it, and then maybe reset again maximum. Do not keep trying to reset a breaker or a GFCI. If you're resetting a GFCI in an outlet, it's a matter of just pressing the reset. If you're resetting a circuit breaker that's tripped, you always turn it all the way off and then all the way back on.